From her start in Spike Lee's Do the Right Thing, which, by the way, Rosie says came to her by way of a run-in with Spike Lee in a club, to her most recent role in Your Honor opposite Bryan Cranston, and countless roles in between, Rosie Perez is Hollywood gold. But long before the bright lights and cameras, the storyline of Rosie's life was much different. The scene was Brooklyn, and a young Rosie Perez was cast in a role she never asked for. Born to a mom who suffered from mental illness, Rosie's childhood memories are fraught with stories of abuse and fear. But little Rosie resisted, and through it all, Rosie harnessed a fighting spirit, one she holds to this day. If you were to describe the way you were raised in a couple of lines, were you self-raised?
I think there was a percentage of that. Yes, definitely. I was also raised by my aunt, by the nuns in the convent that I was in, by Sister Margaret Francis, as a young adult by my father. But a lot of it was me, taking care of me.
I adopted 2 children, and I have a now 6-year-old and a 3-year-old. And I was imagining, when I was reading more about your story, I was imagining my 3-year-old, someone taking my 3-year-old from the home and putting my 3-year-old in the care of nuns at a convent, where just like you were in your life. Mm-hmm. And the 3-year-old feeling like, where are my people? Where's my love? Where's everything I had before? Do you have strong memories of just being 3 or 4? I don't know when kids start remembering things, and what you felt like?
I have vivid memories, unfortunately. I do remember being in the home. I remember the bed they put me in. I remember all of that.
I remember it all.
And I remember the counselors that were wonderful there at the convent, all the songs that they would teach me and the dancing they would teach me. I remember being taught tap dance by the nuns, which is hilarious to see a nun tapping in a habit. They taught me softball and baseball. There was a new program back then in the 70s of the group home, and there were group homes for juvenile delinquents, and then there were group homes for kids who were not, and they thought had the ability to make it in the world.
Okay.
You know, because a lot of the kids would age out in the system, meaning they had no one to rescue them, no one to take them out from that place. So once you were 18, that was it. They said bye. So they had that program, the Catholic Church, it was their group home. It wasn't a state-run group home. And within that program is where I met Sister Margaret Francis, who really changed my life. And they were preparing us to be equipped to live in society on our own.
Sister Margaret Francis, how did she change you?
Because she challenged me. She challenged me. She was the first one who would tell me, I remember she said, you know what, you're a stubborn little thing. And I said, well, yes, I am. Yeah. It's terrible. And she goes, you need to find a way to use that for your own benefit.
Oh.
Because it's not working for me, and it's not working for anyone else, and it's not working for you. So you need to learn how to use your stubbornness and turn it into a positive. And I was like, what?
How do you do that?
You know, and I remember she goes, figure it out. And I was like, huh. And she would drop little hints, like, you do really well in school, right? Because you're so competitive. And I go, what? No, I'm not. Yes, you are. That's why you like sports. You know, and she goes, and you don't give up on equations. That's very good. Yeah, you're really stubborn in that good way. And I started to slowly figure it out.
My God, that's brilliant.
It's brilliant.
And she did see into you.
She saw it into me. She would also say that how complicated I was. She said, you're so well-mannered, and you're so kind, and you're so sweet, and anyone can make you cry at the drop of a hat. But at the same time, your fists are ready. And she goes, put your fists down. You don't need to use your fists. And I just was like, yes, I do. She's about to punch me in my face. You know, one of the girls.
Yeah.
And she says, figure it out.
My gosh, she had such wisdom.
She had such wisdom, and it drove some of the girls there in that group home crazy.
Right. But
because I would kill them with my silence. And I didn't realize that that was a tool, that that was a weapon.
Silence
silence. Or I just wouldn't engage with you if like one of the girls would start a verbal argument or fight or whatever, and they were trying to entice me, and I would just lay back and smile at them. And I remember Sister Margaret Francis, one day she was walking past the room, and she was watching, and I thought we were all going to get in trouble, and she looked at me and she just winked.
Winked at you. She knew. Wow.
Yeah. So they stopped fighting with me because I did, and then I just started to learn those things. And when she was leaving the order, I remember her sitting me down, and because she left and she came back, and she goes, "I need to talk to you." I went, "Mm-hmm." She said, "Listen to me." And she grabbed me by my hand, and she had never put her hands on any of us, so I was shocked. And she said, "I want you to put your head down and study because that's your ticket out. Promise me." And I nodded. She goes, "No, say it." And there was tears streaming down her eyes. She goes, "Because you can make it. You can make it." And I started blubbering. And she, Hoda.
That's so beautiful.
She was beet red.
Yeah.
First, I thought I did something wrong and everything. And I said, "I promise." And she says, "Take care of yourself." And she gave me a hug and she just ran out the door.
Did she get to see any of your success in life?
I don't know because she was much older.
She was older then, yeah.
I wish I fantasized that she did.
Yeah.
Or maybe she's still alive. You never know. The nuns live life for a really long time. They're just clean living, And I used to fantasize that one day I will bump into her,
She was right, though. She was right.
Yeah, she was right.
You know what's interesting about what you're saying right now? Often when you go through trauma, you don't remember there was any good. You remember the trauma because the trauma had to be debilitating. I mean, how did that trauma not break a child?
A lot of the children there were broken. I know a few of them still. I'm still in contact with them. I would say 2 of them are like me. We're like survivors. We don't like to call ourselves victims. And then some of the rest of the girls, they're in severely bad shape where it's hard for them to even function on a daily. And it's all because of what they endured. So it's weird like that. It was very complicated for me when I got out of the system. I had survivor's guilt. Why did I get out? Why am I kind of okay? Why am I successful and they're not? And I remember this one person told me, "Well, you know what? Everyone's not that strong." And that makes a lot of sense to me because I think that the reason why I made it and this other woman made it is that we had a certain strength within our character that was just there. You know what I mean? And I can't explain it because you could say, "Oh, well, for me, in my case, my aunt gave me so much love and told me I was special every day." But her mother was horrible.
To her?
To her, horrible. And like, she's very successful and she's very together. So you can't say, "Oh, well, you made it because you had love in your life." I did better because I had love in my life.
But she did not, and
she did not
succeeded.
And she succeeded. So it's very interesting.
I find the character of a little girl, and I'm trying to picture you now in that way, how that doesn't break a person. How do you still stay feisty? Sometimes with enough horrible pressure from grown-ups, that can be eliminated.
Yeah.
But not in you. You just kept fighting back.
I just felt like I was just doing time. And I also knew that my aunt was fighting for me to get out.
Yeah.
And then my father, I found out, was also fighting for me to get out. So I kind of had this thing, I'm not staying here. Right, as
this
the
is
years
temporary.
go on
yeah.
and go on and go on, I still had in my mind, I'm going to get out.
Why did your mom want you in there in the first place? I don't even understand that piece.
I don't either. She says because I was a love child, but she put her other children there.
Oh.
And then she changed the story and said, "Oh, I couldn't take care of you guys financially," but she took some of her children back and left me. And so it just doesn't make sense. And her severe mental illness is the only logical explanation that I can have. Is that she was paranoid schizophrenic, so there's things that are beyond my comprehension, you know? And so it's like that.
Has forgiveness come for your mom?
I'm still working on it. Yeah. I used to lie and say, yes, I forgave her and stuff like that because I didn't want people to judge me, you know. But it came when she was passing, the beginning of forgiveness, because all of a sudden I looked at this woman and I said, my God, she had a horribly sad life. You know, and as an adult, you have a different perspective. And I was able to have a level of empathy for her. And that shocked me. That like really shocked me. I didn't expect that. And I think that I resisted forgiving her because everyone told me, well, you have to forgive your mother. She's your mother and you have to love her because she's your mother. And I'm like, this woman is horrible.
Yeah.
I was like, what do you mean? So the rebellion in me that is so a part of who I am would just subconsciously say, no, I don't have to do anything.
I don't have to do anything.
And when I went and started being under the care of Dr. Catherine Fadili, she was the first person to go, you don't have to forgive her.
Wow.
She was an abuser.
Wow.
And I went, what? I said, can I record you saying that so I could play it to myself?
So you did not think that?
I did not think I had
Wow.
I did not think that I had the right.
So as you emerged and you said you were strong when you left that convent, how did you come upon the confidence that started your career on this path?
I think it was my rebellion and my stubbornness, and I think it's just the DNA on my father's side.
Yeah, he's got that.
He had that in spades.
Yeah.
He was so confident. And in my family, like if you were to meet my sister, Carmen, you're like,
that's
yep,
it.
you guys are related. My brother, the same thing. And it's like, you tell any of us we can't do anything, we go, what?
Well, this makes perfect sense because you met Spike Lee back in the very beginning, back in time, and you hadn't had an acting role, but you got into a little argument with him because you are headstrong.
Yes.
And no one's going to tell you no. And it was from that argument ended up the birth, really, of your career, from a fight.
Yes, from a fight.
I love
right.
that.
Oh my gosh.
How did that happen?
Oh my goodness. He was having a butt contest. I found it appalling.
Contest.
Yeah, and the producer of the event had invited all the girls from Soul Train to come down because they wanted, us to like fill up the club. And he was promoting School Days, so the song was Doing the Butt.
Oh, Doing the Butt.
So that
I love
was
that song.
his thing.
Yeah.
So I got up on a speaker and I was like, don't let him, is this what you want? And I was trying to mock it. And
like women, you don't have to do this.
And so he came with bodyguards and told me to get down, and I was like, oh my God, I thought I was going to get thrown out, and all that bravado kind of went away. And when he said tonight is spade, I went, oh, you wish. And that's when the fight started. First I was almost on the verge of tears, and I was about to say, I'm sorry.
Yeah. You were like, one or the other. Which one is it going to be?
And then he did that, and he, I didn't understand what he had meant. He meant like, we were supposed to meet because you're supposed to be in a movie with me. I didn't understand what he meant. And because I had men hitting on me all the time, so I was sick of it, and so that's where I thought he was coming from. And so it was born out of that.
Your career has been on this crazy trajectory. I mean, you're one of those people who can walk down the streets and everybody knows you. And you also have such a great body of work. Did people, or how often, I should say, did people try to change you? Did they try to form you, mold you?
Oh, yes.
And did you go with it or resist?
I resisted, of
Of
course.
course you did.
And it hurt. It hurt bad. It was like really hurt because a lot of it came from the Latino community. They wanted me to calm down and be quiet and change my accent. They were like, oh, you're putting the accent on. And at the time, I wasn't. My accent was very thick. And it was just painful. Even just people who represented me, agents telling me to get a nose job. I go, okay, people, I get it. I got a big nose. Okay, I'm fine with it. Why aren't you fine with it?
Yeah.
And by the way, I think I'm cute. It's just like, do all these things and change yourself. Why? Why? Because you could pass. And I remember this one agent, I said, pass for what? She goes, you know what I'm talking about. I said, no, I want to hear you say it. And she goes, excuse me? I said, yeah, excuse you. You're fired. And I just walked out.
Wow.
I was incensed.
Livid.
Oh, my God, I was so angry. And it was Jennifer Grey. I told her the story.
Yeah.
And she goes, oh, thank God you didn't get a nose job, because look what happened to me.
I mean, Jennifer Grey from Dirty Dancing was known for her look, her nose, and all that. And it's true, after she got the nose job, people didn't even, they were like, who are you?
Yeah.
Which one are you?
Exactly. And she said, she goes, I don't think you should change a thing. And the only reason why you should change is for the role, if the role dictates that. And I said, thank you for telling me that. And she goes, no one's ever told you that? I said, no. And she goes, well, you should fire your agent then. I go, I did.
I did. You know,
and she got me a better agent.
She did?
Right there on the spot. She called her agent.
Wow. It takes women a long time to find their voice. It sounded like yours came early, or you finding your voice, or did it still take you time?
I look at it as not finding my voice, but developing my voice.
Yeah.
You know, because I always fought for myself, but there were times where I didn't, where I was like, okay, don't say anything. You're just going to make trouble. Throughout the years, it came to me when I had broken my neck during a stunt gone bad, and I didn't work for a long time. And I remember my friend said to me, I think the universe is making you sit down and be quiet, because it was hard for me to talk. And it was a really good time. It was the worst of times, but it was the best of times, because a thought came to me of positive entitlement. You know, there is negative entitlement, and everyone only uses, oh, you're so entitled, as if it's a negative thing or a derogatory term. And then all of a sudden I said, wait a minute, there were moments in my life where I was positively entitled. I demanded a certain way to be treated. Where did that go?
Yeah.
The nuns didn't break me.
Yeah.
My mother didn't break me. I will be damned if Hollywood is going to break me. And I remember I was laying in bed with a collar on. I was going, oh, my God. It was like the universe just
yelled, yes.
Yes. And I remember my my sister Carmen was like, are you okay there? You're taking too many meds? I know. And I was like, my goodness. And, you know, and you think about that, that was 2009.
Yeah.
When that came to me.
Yeah.
You know, I think on a personal level, that's where I would struggle at times to really find my voice, more so than in my career. You know, and a lot of women who I know who are powerful and successful, you step into their home life, you're like, who are you? You know, it's a different person, because a lot of times their significant other, whether it be a man or a woman, if your light is too bright, they want to dim it, because they don't have any light of their own, you know? And so you see that. That's what I keep working on. And I think that's why there's been, in the past, I would say 8 years, a change in my career. Because, you know, that positive entitlement, that positivity that just started to come over me, I just was like, I just want to shine bright. You know, I just want to shine bright. And what's wrong with that?
I totally get that.
Okay.
It's like sometimes you dim your light, whether intentionally or not, because you don't want to make the person next to you feel bad. So you're like, well, it wasn't that big of a deal, or something good happened and you want to share it. And then you decide, no, maybe not. Maybe I'll keep this small. I was in a relationship, and I remembered every time I came home and put the key in, I remembered thinking, he's going through a difficult time, so I can't talk about this day today. And so that was the pattern every day. So then you kind of make your life and your world smaller and smaller. And then suddenly you look around and go, who am I? And then I feel like that lesson too often comes later. It's like you look around and you go, you get one ride around the sun. That's it. That's all we get. I find it funny. We're 58-year-old women, and we're having this conversation, and I feel like the best is now. Do you feel that?
Yes. Me too. It is. It is. And someone said, oh, my God, you're almost going to be 60. I go, I can't wait.
Yeah.
Because if this is getting good now, oh, my God. You know what I mean? I was like, I cannot wait. I told my husband, I said, every single day I'm getting out of my own way. Every single day. And it's getting a little bit better every single day. I still have my dark days. I don't want anyone listening to this think that, you know, I've made it through in regards to mental health, because you do have those dark days.
Of course.
But now at this age, I go, okay, what do I have to do? How do I fix this?
How do I get out of this?
How do I get out of this?
Yeah.
Because I still want to enjoy the day.
Yes.
You know, I still want to just keep being happy. And so I don't need those outside things. I just need a walk.
You need a walk.
Or I need to talk to somebody.
Talk to somebody, yeah.
That's it. Or sometimes I need to watch The Little Rascals so I can laugh. You know?
That is so hilarious. I've not heard that name in years.
You know? I'm serious.
But something.
Everyone thinks they need so much,
Yes.
and you don't.
You don't.
You really don't. And my husband, when he first met me, when we were dating, he was like, I was going to buy you an expensive bag, but I realized you have like all these cheap bags. And they're kind of old looking. I go, I only have nice bags like when I go out for work.
Yeah, for work, yeah.
You know, or go out to dinner. That's it.
Yeah.
But I said, you're going to see, I wear a lot of the same clothes for a very long time.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't need it.
How have you kept growing with your spouse so that you are, you know, because sometimes one stops growing and one keeps growing and you're like, hey, like, catch up with me. Come on, there's a lot happening up here.
I think just that, of talking, because I remember one time we had, our first 2 years, we never had a fight.
Wow.
Not even an argument.
Wow.
And then the fight came.
Yeah.
And I told him, I said, listen, you've never been married. I have. This is my second time around. This is good. What we have is good. Let's not mess it up.
Yeah, good.
Don't walk out. Stay. Stay here and let's fight for this. Wow. And he went, you sound like an Oprah special. And we both started cracking up. And in my mind, I told him afterwards, I'm like, he's the one.
He's the one.
He's the one. Because the joke, you know, and he's laughing.
Yes.
And he
in the middle of it. He sat
in the middle of it. And he goes, okay, all right. And I go, great. So we check in with each other very often.
Yeah.
How are you? How are, you know,
How
or
are
we
we? Yeah.
we compliment our relationship all the time.
Yeah.
You know, I love that we're like this now. I love that we're like that now. What we do for each other, though, of keeping the excitement, I know you're going to go, you're kidding, is to go to boxing matches.
Wait.
Because that's our love.
Wait, you both love boxing?
We both love boxing.
So when you go to a match together, it's like a hot date night?
Oh, yes. I dress up. I do. I have to get the hair done, you know, the makeup.
Parts.
And then after the fight, everyone goes out to dinner. You get home like at 1 o'clock in the morning and you're like, oh, that was great. You know, and so we do that. That's
that
what
is
we
so
do.
funny. That is such a great date night. Is there a mantra, a quote? Is there something that you live by? Something that's kind of front and center?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's something my aunt said.
Yeah.
She suffered from depression. And she was strong enough to always tell us when she was depressed. And I came home from school one day and she was laying in the bed. She came home early from work, which was very rare. And I said, what's wrong? And she goes, ay, Rosie, I'm depressed. And I said, you are? And I climbed in the bed. I said, I'm sorry. She goes, it's okay, because tomorrow's another day. Yeah. Yeah.
I love that. Rosie, I love you. Thank you for coming to see me.
Oh, thank you. And I always wanted to tell you this, and I was too shy to always tell you this, but I think that you're an amazing big person with an amazing big heart. And that really was cemented when I heard that you had adopted children. Because I used to fantasize about being adopted. And I kept saying, just in case it doesn't work out with my aunt, maybe someone can adopt me. And for people like you, all the people out there that open up their homes to children and offering them a new life, God bless you all.
God bless you.
Mothers are, in my opinion, made. You know, my aunt was my mom. Yeah. So, and your children are very lucky to have you.
Thank you.
Oh, can I give you a hug?
Yes, please.
Hey, thanks for watching. Don't miss the Today Show every weekday at 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 Pacific on our streaming channel, Today All Day. To watch, head to today.com/allday or click the link right here.